Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
So you're going to be calling me. I'm ready. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GG Report this Friday evening, and I'm glad you're tuned in. Welcome, join us wherever you're watching us from. Some of you, I know you're watching us through the social media platform, so please remember to share and share widely. We are live both on our social media platform, that is Elevate TV Kenya Facebook page, Elevate TV Kenya YouTube channel. Please share and let's get this conversation underway. Thank you very much indeed. I'm very, very pleased that we can have this conversation this evening. I have a special guest with me on the set. Like I always say, all my guests are special. So I have Dr. Ekrah Ndungu with me on the set this evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. Now, today we're going to be talking about the Gen Z workforce and why CEOs are troubled. My guest is a CEO. I'll be introducing her. And this conversation is something that we really need to have, because if you've worked with a generation that is called Gen Z, you know that they are quite a force to reckon with. So now, let me just give you a quick overview of what we're talking about. A new and a unique generation of employees has hit the workplace with noticeable characteristics, okay? So the so-called Gen Z generation love their freedom and inclusion. They have some very interesting ideas. They do not work for you, they work with you. They obsess about personality differences and the idea of passion, and they don't seem to fit any economic categories you put them. They are just a unique group of new generation of workers, like I'm saying, and we really have, many people have talked to me and told me they don't know how to work with Gen Z. And so today, my aim is that in this conversation, we're going to hear from a CEO who is actually involved both in training and of course working with Gen Zs. And I believe we're going to try and answer some of your questions and also hear her experience, and perhaps her experience represents the experience of so many people who are working with this new generation of the workforce. All right. So, but before I introduce my guest, I want to remind you that the GG Report is a platform for big, bold, and honest conversation on a broad range of subject matters. Like I always say, political, socio-economic, philosophical, theological, and anything in between. And today we're going to be talking about socio-economic ideas. All right. So my guests, I will briefly introduce her, but she has so many titles and awards and many things to say about her. But I'll just be brief. So my guest is Dr. Ekrah Ndungu. She is the chair of the Kenya National Association of Private Colleges. And Dr. Ndungu is a certified coach, emotional coach, and leadership coach, and many other dimensions of coaching. I have known her in the area of coaching, and she's going to be telling us more about that. She is also the CEO of German Institute of Management, is it?
Of professional studies.
Of professional studies, and so she's actually a trainer of young people. So so she knows these guys, and she works with a lot of them. So welcome to the show, Dr. Ndungu. Ndungu, yes, Ekrah Ndungu, and I am really looking forward to hearing your side of the story. But before we go to talk about the Gen Z, let's have a kind of a small brief. Tell us about your career and how you got to where you are today. Briefly as you can.
Okay, thank you very much. I am a Kenyan, basically. I know that's important because of my name. A lot of people don't think that the name Ekrah is Kenyan.
All
basically,
right.
I am Kenyan, grew up in Othaya, and as fate would have it, learned German language, went to Kenya Methodist University, did an entrepreneurship degree, a master's in executive MBA in management and leadership, and a doctorate in education and transformation leadership, and a lot of other trainings in terms of just personal development and training myself. And also have been a German teacher for several years, helped a lot of young people make their way to Germany. So for those who are seeing what is happening today and what the president is saying and perhaps assuming that hii ni ile story ya Jaba, no, those things exist. I have a lot of my alumni living there, and I have been able to mentor, by the grace of God, so many young people over the years, both locally and across Africa. I am an international speaker. I've spoken into so many conferences, both locally, global conferences, and all matters education. And currently serving as the chairperson for our association for the private colleges in Kenya.
Right. Wonderful. That's a very brief one and very succinct. Absolutely amazing. So the story we have today is maybe perhaps you can talk a little bit about training the Gen Z. You've been in the training space.
Yes.
Running a college is an interesting affair. So you have generations and generations of people who come and sign up for a language, other social science skills, or maybe IT and stuff like that. So you've trained a lot of young people. So overall, what's your experience working and training the so-called Gen Z? All right. So I know that's the big question, but I think I want us to flow. I really don't want us to get stuck with the script of the little bits and pieces. So just go tell us what your experience has been, and maybe you can also talk a little bit about the industry itself, the training industry, which you are chair of the private colleges institutions.
Okay, so for the benefit of the person who is watching, somebody might just be hearing the word Gen Z and they are wondering, what is this Gen Z?
Yes.
It is important that we bring people up to speed, what generations matter, and why generations behave the way they do. And we can first answer that question by letting people know and understand, because there are multiple generations in the workforce today. But the Gen Z now stands out of all that generation that is doing that we can say compose of the workforce today. There used to be a generation we call the greatest generation. Those are the generations of the 1900s. Then came up the silent generation. That generation didn't talk much, but they were doers.
All right.
And a good example is the late President Kibaki.
Okay.
Then came the generation that we call the baby boomers. Those perhaps are your parents. I don't know. When I look at you, perhaps they are the baby boomers.
Yeah, I'm kind of like on the edge of the baby boomers.
Yes, at the edge of the baby boomers.
Right.
This was the generation that was troubled after the World War II. Then that generation also had its own special characteristics.
Right.
And they were very loyal generation because of that experience. Then came the independent generation. That is the Gen X. And then after that, we have the Gen Y that is not very popular. Then we have the millennials. And then after the millennials, now we have this generation that we are talking about, the Gen Z.
Right.
And this Gen Z has been our students.
Right.
These are the people that we've been training. That these are people they didn't grow with. They grew with a lot of attention, because you see the baby boomers got a lot of kids. Then when this other generation came, they decided, I'm going to have one or two. So that I can give them maximum attention and I can give them the very best that I have. So this generation was given a lot of attention and was given a lot of help, because the economy was still coming up. So you'll find that they never did the digging that perhaps you and I did in the village.
Right.
They grew up in the village, but somehow it's like they were in the city, because the exposure was much. The parents had fewer kids to take care of, and they were also a generation that had a lot of challenges. There are three major things that happened with this generation. One is the 2008 global recession. That global recession had a ripple effect with mass layoffs. A lot of people lost their jobs. So they are a generation that was also strained, but parents also hid the strain, but still pampered them.
Oh, yeah, especially, I think, Dr. Ndungu, what you're talking about is one of my experience, especially raising my children in this city. And I must admit, those of you that are watching, I'm a parent of a Gen Zs, actually. So as we talk about Gen Z, I have vested interest.
Yes.
I'm invested.
So
what you are describing is true. We raised our kids. We wanted to protect them from, the vagaries of life, and like you say, we were the people who are sold on this idea of, small families and family planning and all that. We were shown those pictures in school, and we were told, a good family, it's just mom and dad and two kids. There was
not
that
two
picture.
kids, mom and dad and little mom.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, little mama. Yes.
Little mom and little dad. And so we grew up, this is the generation we call them papa. We call them,
yes.
Dad don't do that, mom don't do that, that kind of thing. Yes.
And before we get lost from there, now this generation, we've talked about the mass layoffs that happened with the global recession.
Yes.
So these parents were strained, but still they could go out of their way because these kids are fewer. Then these kids, they are now in campus, they are now in college, then they experience a global pandemic.
Okay.
They are now, again, they have not been able to go to work and get the intro like every other generation was able to. So even getting internship was very difficult for them, because companies are preferring an experienced person because of the job losses that happened with the pandemic. So they are, most organizations are preferring, let me have an experienced person who is ready to be paid less than have a Gen Z who will come and trouble me.
Okay.
And if you look at the surveys in terms of work, even on LinkedIn and everywhere, you'll find a lot of Gen Z, they are very outspoken, commenting on every job post that has been put, and they are looking for 3 years experience, and then they post there, if you cannot even give me attachment, how do you expect me to get 3 years experience?
All right.
Because this generation is somehow confident.
Okay.
A generation that thinks they know what they want, but basically they don't.
Okay. Oh yeah, so we've started shooting. As you follow this conversation, Dr. Ekrah Ndungu is talking about Gen Z trying to place this generation where it is. These are if I were to kind of summarize what you are saying, what I'm hearing you say is that this is a generation that basically were protected during the 2007-2008 financial crisis, because they were kids, really.
Yes.
Most of them were in primary school and all that. So their parents really, covered them. And then their real experience in life comes in during this pandemic, because most of them actually, some of them were going into university, some of them were actually in university. and some of them actually graduated during that time, and they are out here looking for jobs. And you know, the world has gone through a crisis. They can't understand why you guys can't understand that. Look, we just survived this crisis, so really you should let us work. You know, why are you laying conditions on us? So with the kind of freedom they have also learned how to enjoy, it's a completely
and remember, this is a generation that their communication has been emojis. They have grown up knowing the communication of emojis.
Oh my God.
Anything to do with in-person communication, they didn't experience it during internship. Remember, some of these, they finished their courses virtually because they were at home because of the pandemic.
Right.
So when you talk of in-person, that is why this generation is not confrontational. They would rather quit than face their manager.
All right.
They would rather just stop, just a simple question, asking them, why did you do this? What they read that to mean is that I am not wanted here, because they were not questioned at home.
Okay. So actually, I want us to kind of like go step by step, because there are so many things. I hear you saying, laying out a lot of some of the challenges. Let's look at Generation Z, especially given your experience working with them and training them and working with them. What are their strengths? Let's first of all deal with their strength. What do you think they are good at? Given that this is a generation that has grown with technology, especially social media, they have come into maturity straight as soon as they could lay hands on a phone, as soon as their parents could let them have a phone. They had a phone. Some of them even had phones in primary school, which was a mistake, but anyway, they managed to get these devices. So they are coming to the world of technology. They use their phones, they refer to their phones, that's their like life, bread and butter. They ask Google, Mr. Google, for everything, you know. So let's talk about what strength they are bringing to the work. What are their strengths generally in your interaction, and what they are bringing to the workplace. Then now we can talk about some of the things they really got wrong and they are getting wrong.
The Gen Z, one of the things that they are bringing is, one, fresh energy.
Okay.
Because they are young. Then they are bringing in technology, because they are tech savvy. When you talk of AI, they already know what is that.
Yes.
You ask a boomer who is still at work, might not even know what is that.
Yes.
So the next thing that they are bringing is confidence, although it is confidence that is not managed, because they are a very confident generation, because they were given a lot of affirmation, because they were few. The attention was there. So another thing that they are bringing, this is a generation that we call the search engine generation. Everything they could ask a search engine.
All right.
So in terms of research and anything, if they are managed properly, they can do for you exemplary kind of work.
Okay.
They are also bringing in global citizenship.
Okay.
They are the first generation to start thinking global. The word global citizenship has come in during their time of growth. So a Gen Z will already knows, I can work in Canada, I can work in Europe, I can work in Middle East, I can work wherever, I can study this online, I can do this. In terms of personal development with proper guidance, perfect. It's a good generation to work with.
All right.
If you know how to manage them, because the biggest challenge is to manage their exposure. Because they are too exposed until they end up in confusion.
Okay.
They don't really know what to take and what to do, because the opportunities and the exposure is already too much on their table.
Do you think, sorry to interrupt, do you think that they have too many mentors? You know, like online, everyone is mentoring them left, right. If they wanted somebody to mentor them on any single thing, they can find that in an instant, because YouTube, Google, Instagram, wherever, there are mentors, there are people that are churning out stuff there. Do you think that kind of creates too much choice, and therefore perhaps nothing?
Yeah, it creates too much choice. And remember, you've brought in the aspect of social media. And that is why even they end up also looking for social validation on social media, because they grew up that time when they knew your feelings are supposed to be feeling annoyed, like what you post on social media, or how many likes you get, instant comments. They get instant comments on everything.
Yes.
Or whatever post. Even right now, I know we are watching, we have people commenting. It's instant.
Yes.
They grew up the generation of instant coffee. Instant popcorn, everything.
Yes.
You can almost do anything instantly.
Okay.
So for them, even at the workplace, they also want everything to be instant.
For example?
For example, I come in, I am a Gen Z, for an interview. I want you to tell me when you expect me to start my job, and my salary should start at 6-figure or 7-figure. Yes.
All right. And they want that conversation done and dusted.
And they don't want that conversation being done at CG, you are who. The topmost. I want to associate with the topmost.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they are very, very difficult to take through the process of like the normal recruitment process that we subject people. In normal employment, you check people out. You do a first phase of interview, second phase, and then the final one.
And if you subject them to that, what they do, they take up the job and they don't show up.
Okay.
They already can figure out now this place is a lot of stress. If they put me through all that stress just for the interview, what about when I'm working? That's why you'll find you give offer letters and you have your offer letters on the table. The Gen Z didn't show up for work and they are not afraid of quitting.
Okay.
You know, the boomers were so afraid, and the Gen X was so afraid of quitting their jobs because they didn't have options. So these ones, they are living with their parents comfortably. So they are not afraid of quitting.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh my goodness me. So ladies and gentlemen, as you follow this conversation, we are talking about the Gen Z workforce and why CEOs are troubled. I mean, a lot of people who have tried to work with the Gen Z, they have faced all kinds of challenges. And Dr. Ekrah, the idea that you recruit this person, you take them through the process, you have an offer letter on the table for them, and you call them and it's like, I'm not sure, and they don't show up,
Actually, they ghost. Because they have grown up in the generation of they ghost each other.
Okay.
So even that, they just ghost you. They won't even tell you.
By the way, what do you mean by ghosting? now you see there is a difference in generation between us. So ghosting
means that I just we agree we are doing something, and then I don't show up, and I don't talk, and I don't say anything. I just become a ghost. I'm nowhere. You are like you keep on sending messages. I don't even respond.
Okay.
That's what we call ghosting.
And that's why they put the blue ticks on the WhatsApp.
Yes, they deactivate. They deactivate.
There is a way they deactivate that.
Yes.
So you send messages, they are reading, but they are not blue ticking because they have deactivated. So you don't know where they are.
And there was even this WhatsApp whereby they could even remain with one tick, although it was banned.
Yes.
They could remain with one tick. So you can't know whether it was delivered. And then they are the generation when they leave work, they put you on flight mode.
Okay. so you can't call me.
You can't call me.
All right.
Yes.
Oh my God. So all right. So this conversation perhaps is useful for those of you that are CEOs, and you're gonna have challenges because you're going to be needing these guys to work with you. So the more you understand the kind of generation you are dealing with, the better. How about the idea of them, like I said, they want to work not for you but with you. They kind of want you to take them in, like the way their parents treat them. They treat them as valid members of the family with equal rights with everybody in the house. And therefore,
actually, we can simply call them the human rights generation.
Okay.
Because a lot of human rights activism happened during their time when they were growing up. So they are used to collaborative approach.
Okay.
Collaborative kind of leadership.
Right.
Horizontal kind of leadership. Anything vertical with a Gen Z, you lose them.
Okay.
They need to be involved in the decision making. They need rotational leadership.
Okay.
Gen Zs, they want to feel that power is not vested in one person.
All right.
They feel they want rotational kind of leadership. So if it's group work, if it's teamwork being done, this time so-and-so is the team leader, the next minute they are a team leader, the next minute a millennial is a team leader, the next minute a boomer is a team leader, the next minute is the Gen X who is a team leader.
Okay.
So that way they feel they belong.
Okay. Okay.
Because these are people who have belonged in the generation. Remember, it is also the generation that has grown without parents.
Okay.
From the AIDS pandemic, from a lot of divorce that happened with Gen X and a few of the boomers. So majority of them are also coming from broken families, a good number of them.
Yes.
They are coming from a situation whereby the growth was strenuous, but you cannot handpick what was bringing the challenges. This is why when you even look at the stress levels and the global surveys of stress, you'll find that the highest number of stressed workforce is the Gen Z.
Okay. Yeah, so they also have a share, and we were going to talk about that, the problems, the challenges that they are experiencing. So there are strengths that they bring to the workforce, you know.
And they bring these challenges, not to forget, for the workplace to solve them.
Okay.
They are not coming to work for work. That's why they are saying, I want to work with you. I also want you to solve my personal problems. So you ask a Gen Z, why didn't you come to work yesterday? You know, my mom was sick. I'm so stressed about that.
Right.
I don't think a boomer would ever say that at work.
Okay.
You know, we lost an auntie, and sijui I'm the one who is doing this.
Okay.
You know, they want to...
I'm the one arranging the flowers.
Yes, they want their personal problems solved at work. So the CEO of today has to be a coach, has to be a mentor, and must also have some counseling skills.
Okay. There you are. The CEO of today, if you are managing Gen Z, you got to be a coach, a father, a mother, everything in between. And then, you know what I like?
And you know, leadership has never been more difficult than it is today.
Okay.
Leadership is quite difficult today because remember, the boomers are not yet 65.
Right.
Some of them.
Yes.
So they're still at work.
Okay.
So you have millennials in the same workplace.
Okay.
And you have the highest percentage of your workforce. Now the people who are doers, who do the things, the technicians, are now the Gen Z.
Okay.
This is where you'll find most CEOs can even break down.
Right. I mean, so it's really, they kind of bring in, I mean, they bring in everything. They bring the world to work.
Yes.
While the older generation was used to, I give you an assignment, you do it, don't tell me about your personal story.
Exactly.
And don't tell me about your mother and whatever happened at home. That's none of our business. Work is work. You're here to work, and you put in your hours, you deliver on your promises, you bring in your reports, and that's it. Everything else we can talk.
Yes, and this is where you'll find a Gen Z saying, my boss does not understand me.
Okay.
This work is too much. Because they want instant feedback.
Okay.
You know, the previous generation used to get feedback once a year.
Okay.
During appraisals. Then came this generation that wanted performance management, their performance to be managed.
All right.
Those are the millennials and the previous generation that was in between, the boomers.
Yes.
Now here comes the Gen Z. Gen Z does not want that performance management. I want instant feedback. Did I do it well today?
Right.
Did I write the report today properly? Don't wait for me during HR appraisals to tell me what I did last month.
I've forgotten that.
I've forgotten that. That was last month. And they will start telling you you're holding grudges because they...
Oh my goodness, they're going to accuse you of holding grudges, and all you are asking is, you know, your performance has not been up to scratch. I am not
But
happy.
why didn't you tell me?
All right.
Because you see, we've talked of the generation that has grown with instant coffee, instant meals, pancakes, microwave, everything has been instant. Instant likes, instant comments.
Right.
So why...
And yeah, so I'm telling you, this is amazing. Apostle Charles Donga is watching this. I guess he has very serious vested interest because he's a father of some Gen Z somewhere. I know you, Apostle Donga. You better listen very carefully, because this is going to be very helpful for you as you manage, the people you work around with. Plus, even just working with these guys in the house, just raising them up, they are quite a kettle, they're quite a group of people to manage, right? So that's amazing. Now, my director is telling me we need to take a short break. Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to go back to the issue of then what strategies CEOs should use, how they should adopt some of the management kind of approaches that we've traditionally used in managing, workforce, and how that is going to change, and then maybe other strategies that would be useful. So those of you that are following this conversation, I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you are learning. We are, just asking ourselves, how do you manage? How do you deal with the troubles of this Gen Z generation? They have come into the workplace. They are completely different generation. They have their own culture, and I'm sure you've heard some of the things we have laid out right here. So we're going to take a short break, so we'll come back. Don't go away. Take maybe some coffee and keep it elevate. Let's come back here shortly.
Last Saturday we had an amazing story of how he went through an accident and how he went through all this kind of stuff, and today we want to continue with the same story, because I tell you what, it was a big matter we couldn't finish.
One day I surprised all the nurses.
Yeah.
I walked out of my bed and I went to where they were at the reception. They shouted. Remember, my eye is open. It's just a hole.
Jeez.
They have not reconstructed my eye.
Yeah.
They shouted and said, "Wait, Pastor is walking."
Apostle Stephen Musioka, this is a walking miracle.
When I went to the mirror, I saw my face. I began to bang the walls, saying, "What is this? God, you can't allow this." Then I heard the voice telling me, "The eye is out, but there's something left in you. Build on what is left."
Praise the Lord.
Welcome back. This is the GG Report. We are talking about the Gen Z workforce and some of the challenges that CEOs are facing, the troubles that are facing CEOs who are managing a completely new generation of workforce with unique characteristics. That's the conversation we are having here today. And so if you've just tuned in, please share the link with your friends and tell us your experience working with the Gen Z. Share in the social media platforms. Ask any questions you have. And so let's go back to where we were, Dr. Ekrah Ndungu. So we were talking about some of the beautiful things that the Gen Z bring to the workplace, and the kind of demand they are placing on, leaders. They first of all, they place a demand of a completely new style of management, collaborative kind of management. They want to be involved in the decision making. If you have a team working on something, you know, they want a kind of a rotational leadership. They don't want some guy who actually is the boss and his word is final. No, no, no. They want a scenario where they can work as part of a team and have a chance also to be the team leader for the day or something like that. So very dynamic in terms of their approach to the workplace. And they bring that to the workplace where culture, the existing culture, may be completely counterintuitive to that. So tell us what you think needs to change in terms of the way we manage workforce to be able to accommodate the Gen Z. That's a big question, but maybe you can just kind of touch some of the areas, your own experience. What have you had to change to be able to actually effectively work with the Gen Z?
Gen Z has grown with technology and social media.
Okay.
So they have gotten attention at home and attention out here.
Mm-hmm.
So Gen Z loves attention.
Okay.
So if you are a CEO who walks around and doesn't talk, then you're trouble.
Okay.
Gen Z can even quit job just because you didn't say good morning to them on the corridors.
Okay.
You were busy thinking about other things. So you really need this side eye as a CEO.
All right.
Because this is a generation that likes attention. You need to talk to them. This is also a generation that does not know the boundaries of work and home. The parents had enough time to interact with them. So they interact with them on everything. So this is the generation that will come and tell you, my mother told me this work is too much.
Okay.
I discussed with my mother and we thought that these working hours are way too much. Then you're like, are you having a side job? Because you can figure out the work that they are doing. Are you having any side hustle? Because it's also the generation of side hustles. No. So what you're doing is too much. So, and you see, somehow parents are also to blame.
Yes.
Because our parents never meddled with what we were doing at our places of work.
Okay.
But today, they carry work home to discuss at home or even to discuss on social media. So it
Okay.
is also the generation as a CEO, you have to be cautious what you say, how you say it, because any minute it can become content.
Okay.
It is the generation of content creation.
All right.
And anything that is happening is content.
All right.
So if you want to keep them at your work, focus on their output.
Okay.
Unfortunately, not their behavior.
Okay, so I think that needs to be said very clearly. Focus on the output of this generation. Do they care about output?
They care about output and instant feedback.
Okay.
Output and instant feedback.
Absolutely.
So if a Gen Z burns midnight oil, especially those that are doing tech, those that will do anything to do with the digital management for you and everything, they put in the work and effort and they don't look at the clock. The boomers looked at the clock.
Okay.
They can do that for long hours and they don't mind so long as they feel they are appreciated. Remember, they are a resilient generation. They are more resilient than any other generation. They have grown through pandemic. They have gone through the global recession, the AIDS pandemic and all that. So they are somehow a pragmatic generation and very resilient. So they can handle pressure. However, they don't also know how to manage stress. They have no emotional professionalism.
Okay.
You know what we mean by emotional professionalism? Our generation knew I don't take my tears to work. I don't take my tears to the boardroom.
Okay.
Gen Z will burst out.
Okay.
They don't know when not to cry, when to do this. I need to take care of my emotional health because basically Gen Z has always thought they are a mental health generation actually.
Okay.
Because a lot of mental health issues and challenges have come up during their time. So if you're a CEO and you're watching, taking care of their emotions today. So emotional intelligence will be vital. Having sessions of mental health care at your workplace. Remember, we've said the CEO of today is no longer a direct active, giving directives and giving instructions what needs to be done. I have said, you know, you don't shut out a Gen Z. You don't tell a Gen Z that if they ask you, they're very inquisitive because they're a curious generation.
Right.
They will ask you, why do I have to do this? You better have a response.
Okay.
You better have a why. Because a Gen Z will not just do things that don't make sense. And they don't know how to keep. They will tell you as the CEO, this doesn't make sense.
All right.
This is not reasonable. It's quite unreasonable.
You're making an unreasonable demand on me.
Yes. And as a Gen X, you'll get irritated. This is a child responding to me. If you're a boomer,
yes,
this is my grandchild.
You know, I mean, anyway, I wanted to use a bad word.
And they're so confident
Yes.
of what they are saying because they have been an instant search engine generation.
Yes.
So some of these things they are saying are not even factual. They read somewhere on social media. They read somewhere on a search engine and assuming that it is the gospel truth.
Okay.
So as a CEO, you also need to have a lot of patience.
Okay.
Because you can fire them every day, and the next one that you hire will be a photocopy of the one you fired.
Okay, wonderful. You better be very careful before you hire and fire the Gen Z, because whichever of them you hire, they are probably going to behave the same way. I think what I like is the whole idea of the fact that these guys, they have a completely different culture. They bring in a completely different culture. But that idea that they can actually work, they can deliver, they can work off hours, but what they need is you must affirm them. You must recognize their work. They want instant feedback. They can't wait, and they want to know where
and they
started.
want flexibility. Don't tell them that you have to be at work up to 6 p.m. because you have to be at work up to 6 p.m.
Okay.
If
okay.
my work is done by 12, then I better be allowed to leave.
All right.
If the CEO can leave at 12 for the golf course, why can't I leave at 12 also?
Okay. And especially since it's Friday evening.
Yes.
You know, Friday afternoon.
I'm done with my work. I'm done with my work. Give me something else to do. Or you will, then also you're monitoring their social media. You'll keep them at work. They'll be on Netflix.
Okay.
So they're depleting your bundles.
All right. Absolutely amazing. This is a very interesting conversation. Sorry, I just dropped my, my gadget here. Very, very interesting conversation about Gen Z and the debate about affirmation. One of the things I want you to, speak to is the idea that how do you keep them? How do you get them to hold down on a job? Because I think, and I'm not too sure, because even the other generation before them, they are picked up. There's something they are picked up from the generation they are found, the generation, the millennials. The idea that for you to make career progression, you must move from one job to another, and preferably every 1 year. So these guys, you hire them, but at the back of their mind, they know I'm here for 12 months, flat out. And 12 months later, they are looking at the exit door. How do you hold them?
Gen Z, one, is a generation of fun. So if your workplace is boring, or if you're a boring boss, they'll leave you with your salary. They want team buildings. They want fun. They want team building activities almost every day. You know those morning meetings, when you do for those morning meetings.
Okay.
Tell them to do something. Tell them to come up with an idea. They will research and everything, and they will have something to do that time. If there is a member even at the workplace who has lost a relative, tell them to spearhead the contributions and everything. Because the Gen Z want to feel a place of work that is caring.
Okay.
That is why you'll find most of them, when they are leaving work, the word they say, that place doesn't even care about me.
Okay.
They have been cared for too much.
So the word care is really central to their identity.
Exactly.
All right, self-care. I mean, we are the people who sold to them this idea of self-care.
When we were starting this conversation, I told you, Gen Z comes and brings all their problems to work.
Okay.
So they want you to solve to be their therapists.
Yes.
They want you to be their mentor, and they want you to be their coach, and they want you to be their role model, and they want you to be their advisor.
Okay.
They will ask you all manner of questions innocently.
All right.
How can I double my salary?
All
in
right. Oh, yeah,
6 months.
But that's the other thing. So two things that I know that are really giving employers problems. One is the idea of holding them down to keep their job. Number two, their out of this world expectation on pay. How do you deal with that? I mean, you know, they come into a workplace, so you have some kind of scale. You know, somebody coming in at the entry level in this particular position, we pay within this range. But a guy is actually asking you for 10 times that amount for the same job. So, and it's like, you can't understand. He's asking, you know, the manager who is interviewing this guy, the young, well, let me not call them kid, but the young fellow is asking for actually the manager's salary. How do you work around that?
There are some that you cannot manage.
Okay.
So there are some that you allow them to go and look for the blue chip that they are thinking exists.
Yes.
Only to find that even there is nothing like blue chip.
Okay.
So it is important to let them know this is the reality on the ground.
All right.
And the reality is, this is what people at this level get, because they come with all manner of expectations. They never saw their parents struggle. So, and the parents who raised them hid their struggles from them.
Yes.
They were not vulnerable. So they don't know what problems looks like.
Okay.
Because majority of them hid, and they never told their kids openly when challenges were there. So this child comes now, it's time to work, and they want a good address where they live. Number two, they want a car loan or a car. They want benefits, and then you're telling them, this one, you don't get them at entry level.
All right.
This is why constant training will become very critical for any CEO.
Yes.
And now you see that is not kind of training that you'd get normally at your
in
place of work.
Business school.
In a business school.
Yes.
You'll never get that. This is the training of what we call the People's University.
Right.
This is the university of the people out here.
Right.
Now that kind of a training, now it's coming with the CEO to be vulnerable to them, to tell them their journey. How did I get here? Gen Zs are always very interested with such stories. How did you become a CEO? So I need to be patient. So 1, 2, 3, 10 years? Hey, that's such a long time. There's no way I can in 3 years, because they have been an instant generation. Then you tell them in 3 years, then go start your own company and become your own CEO with the same day.
You know, this is amazing. Thank you very much, Nesh, Nemo. This is Onesimus. I think I know your short signature on Facebook. They are about output and instant feedback. That's what he is saying. No emotional professionalism. So Onesimus is actually following this conversation very keenly, because I know he runs his own business, and he works with these kind of people all the time. So you have to kind of be very upfront with them. You have to tell them the truth.
Exactly.
That look, you can't have instant results, you know, in terms of economic well-being. I mean, it takes time. I remember recently, sometime last year, we were interviewing somebody who actually ended up as a director of one of the big telecoms in this country. And it said how it took him 20 years to get to that level where he could be a director. You know, 20 flat years throughout almost the whole life of that.
You know what the Gen Z will tell you? They were slow.
Okay. They were slow, you know.
That is how they respond.
Right.
So they cannot figure out 20. I will be 40. Now I'm 21. You're telling me I wait until I'm 41? No.
Okay. Absolutely amazing.
And I'm talking of real life conversations, because I'm a mentor. So I'm talking of real life conversations that we have with them. Okay.
They can't wait. They can't, they can't understand how it will take you 20 years before you become a CEO. Amazing. Amazing. All right. So message to the CEOs is, to summarize that, is that you have to be a very vulnerable with these guys. You have to tell them the truth. You have to be authentic, and then you kind of have to constantly mentor them. You have to be everything to them: mentor, leader, coach, consultant, advisor, and everything in between.
Yes.
Because you are kind of like second parent. When they leave the house, you are the other parent. I'm using that, you know, of course, in the professional side, we say leader, but really, maybe it's just parent, you know, an advanced, you know, more professional parent. So that's the dynamic. What else do you think is shaping these people, and what do CEOs need to do? Maybe you could speak about how can CEOs really handle people who are so tech savvy, and they got technology at their fingertip. They know how to use GPT and all the other AI platforms. They are absolutely amazing with search engines. They can get information. What does that mean for a CEO who is probably the older generation? They are still struggling with their PowerPoints. And these guys, you know, they just whip through all that. How do you leverage these very advanced skills?
So for the CEO, upskilling is important for a CEO. Constant learning, lifelong learning. It will be very critical for any CEO to survive at sea level. Because these people, they are not afraid of technology. The Gen Z, they are not afraid of technology. They are seeing it as an opportunity. They are seeing it as a way of making their work easier. That they can do their reports within no time.
All right.
Within 20 minutes, they are done. If it's a speech, they are done within 10 minutes. So that's why they are wondering, why do I have to stay at work? If they are an office administrator, I'm already done with my work. I used ChatGPT. Some of them do not even know how to proofread after that, knowing that the English there might also be broken. So as a CEO, you have to really guide them and tell them, okay, with the availability of these options, then there is the human part, the human skills. So what you need to do, you need to effectively follow through as a CEO, effectively communicate. Because remember, as a CEO, you are leading a blind team. You're guiding a blind team. You're the only one who knows. You have the vision. You know where the organization want to be. You're breaking it down to the team that is working for you, including this Gen Z. So you should not be afraid of technology. And I'll give a case study of an organization that was afraid of technology. IBM. One of their employees was Bill Gates.
Okay.
Bill Gates told them, this MS-DOS is too difficult. Why don't we come up with a software that we can use, and we make life easy. So Bill Gates presented that to the CEO and presented that to the board. And they outrightly told him, this cannot work. This can't work. What did he do? He left.
Okay, yeah.
And today, IBM computers, all of them, they have his software.
Right.
Today. So Gen Zs, be careful to do active listening with them.
All right.
They have a lot of ideas, but they may not be fine-tuned.
Okay.
So what you do as a CEO is to fine-tune the idea and allow them to fail. If the organization allows them to fail, like the Japanese model of leadership allows employees to fail.
Okay.
This is why they produce one of the best endurable products. You are a 30-year-old Toyota is way much better than a 5-year-old Ford.
Okay.
Why? Because the employees there, they are allowed to fail, they are allowed to give their ideas. There is no any idea that is shut down. So as a CEO, because by 2030, 35% of our workforce will be Gen Z.
Okay.
Including Alpha.
So and I think that's the next place I wanted us to go, talk about the future of the workplace. You know, what do you see that is going to happen? You know, what is coming? You know, so we need to warn CEOs. You know, they think they have problems now, but maybe there are problems in the future. All the opportunities that are coming. Yes. So you're talking about that.
So as a CEO, in the next decade, you'll have people we call prompt engineers at your place of work.
Okay.
You'll have people who are using AI. You'll have people who do not want to work today. They want to be told, maybe I can be working once a week, then I can work for 10 companies. Some companies in Kenya, Canada, and some of the Gen Zs are doing that.
Okay.
We have Gen Zs that are doing work here for companies out there.
Right.
They are still here and still in your organization because they are very good at multitasking.
Okay.
That one, they do it perfectly with proper guidance.
Okay.
So as a CEO, you really have to be open and know that the people you're working with can leave you any minute.
Okay.
You're not working with a loyalist. Gen Zs do not understand the meaning of the word loyalty.
That is out of their vocabulary.
The word loyalty was left with Gen X and the boomers.
Okay.
That is when the word, you know, those people will tell you, I can't leave. You know, I really respect my employers.
Right.
That's a Gen X.
Okay. I respect my employer. I can't leave this work. I feel so guilty that I'm quitting this job, you know.
That's a Gen X who will tell you that.
Yes.
The millennials also will walk any day because they are an ambitious generation and they are still at our place of work. They are the managers now.
Okay.
And a few of them are CEOs. They are an entrepreneurial generation.
Okay.
They are a generation that are thinking of self-employment.
Okay.
So when it comes to these others, the Gen Z, it is what is better. If they get anything better on their way to work,
Okay.
they'll ghost you if you are a bad boss, or if you are good, they'll send you a one-line sentence in resignation, or they'll just send you a text. Or they'll drop in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And left.
And you know, just say, you know, I'm out. I will not. I'll be seeing you later. I have exit. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. We are wrapping up this conversation, but we still have a few things to discuss. But I want to read this comment by Onesimus. He's saying this is truly enriching. Gen Zs don't even know how to request for permission. They actually inform you of their urgent commitment tomorrow morning, and that will be late to work. You know, I have an urgent commitment tomorrow morning. I'll be late to work. Please, now
let us define this urgent commitment.
Yes.
When you dig deep about this urgent commitment, they'll tell you, my mom sent me to run her errands.
Okay. To drop the kids at home and at school. And
yeah, to drop the kids at school, and I couldn't get parking.
Okay. So that's the urgent.
Yes. So this place does not need me. I couldn't get parking, so I went back home.
Oh my goodness. Huh?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Because they are a generation that is very impatient.
Yes.
And also, I don't know, some anger. So a lot of anger management trainings need to be done at the place of work.
Okay.
That is why some of them, because of this instant decision making, they leave work today, then next week they are calling you, they want to come back.
Okay, yeah, so I think the challenges I think you have experienced, Dr. Ekrah Ndungu, I think you've really brought us a lot of very, very powerful insight. But we were talking about the future. So how must we prepare because this generation is going to, you know, to graduate into management, and then they will graduate into CEOs. So what kind of CEOs are they going to be? And how, since you've been a CEO right now, you are a CEO right now, if you are advising these future CEOs today, what sort of skills would you recommend that they prepare themselves for?
They will need to prepare themselves for 100% practice of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
They need to train these Gen Zs and the people that are coming to their workplace in terms of self-leadership, their terms of emotional professionalism, in terms of focusing on work first.
Okay.
Because they are a distracted generation. So that means there will be a lot of distractions at the place of work. They are also very spontaneous. That is why you'll see they will tell you that they have an urgent matter. So you can see now that because in the next 15 years they will be the CEOs. So we are talking of a spontaneous CEO. We are talking of a CEO who can rant on national television because they are used to expressing their views. They are used to saying what they think is going wrong. They are used to going live on everything. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yes. So, they also want to go live at their place of work. This is why now, as a CEO, you really have to create that professionalism. These are don'ts, but involve them in that process. If you do not involve them, you are up for rebel.
Okay.
Yes.
You're going to have a very rebellious scenario. Absolutely amazing. So really, I think, Dr. Ndungu, I think this is amazing because Gen Z, you know, the new workplace, is going to be different from the current workplace. A new generation is entering. You could almost say that they are entering the workforce and disrupting the workforce, because
Exactly.
bringing in a completely new way of working. Great conversation. Millionaire Rachel Moredi is saying this is a great conversation. I'm well informed as we engage this Gen Z. This is a conversation we really, and because we kind of are running out of time, I really, if there is something else that is deep in your heart that you must say it now, you better say it now, because as we wrap up, I don't want to close that out. So, anything else you want to add to this conversation?
The leader, I would love to talk to now the CEO, as we
Right.
described the Gen Z.
Okay.
Somebody who is a CEO today, you really need one to be very compassionate and very understanding.
All right.
Because this is a generation that leaves work because of that word. I felt I'm not understood.
Yes.
Then you're like,
What do
how
you
was
mean?
I supposed to be understood?
Okay.
As a normal CEO, you'd say, I'm not your mother, I'm not your father. It's not my business to understand you.
Right.
Here is a place of work, is a place of production.
Yes.
The workplace, the Gen Z is converting it to be the place that is solving my problems.
Okay.
This is why we are having mental health workshops at the place of work. We are having retirement planning at the place of work. We are having all these things about taking care. The workplace, the Gen Z have made it to be family. Remember, there were days that you go to work, go home, get paid, go home.
Yes.
That was a slogan. The Gen Z, they do not know the word loyal vertically, but they are loyal to themselves.
Okay.
So a Gen Z, you will fire one. If they feel that was not justifiable, in solidarity, they also leave.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, you've been warned, CEOs and those of you that are working with Gen Z, you fire one of them, and then in the WhatsApp group they say this place is toxic, and so
They leave. You fire one, they leave three.
you find your whole reception is
It's empty.
It's empty.
That these
because
are toxic boss.
they are
As
toxic
trauma.
we are traumatized. Absolutely amazing conversation, Dr. Ekrah Ndungu. You have brought in a lot of insight into this conversation, and I'm very, very
And it's
happy.
important to remind the CEO that this is a nesting generation.
Okay,
So if you have to correct them anything, do it in private.
okay,
You know those days that the boss would shout from the corner that you go back, get out of these premises.
yes,
You do that to a Gen Z.
right,
Everybody there is watching and they are looking in solidarity to live with them.
all right. So you could actually, tell of one, and then you actually you create a kind of
You create a coldness.
All
So
right.
you realize you've paid this one has ghosted you. They have left, they have not said anything, and they have blocked you in all social media and on your phone and everywhere. They have left the WhatsApp group, or even that happens, they leave the workplace WhatsApp group and they keep quiet. And they're still at work.
Okay,
And then when they ask, they say, I'm still doing my duties. Do I really need to be in the WhatsApp group?
okay. Look at that camera, Dr. Ndungu, and please, give a few, you have 20 seconds, just one final word to the CEOs after listening to this amazing conversation as we wrap up.
To our fellow CEOs, Gen Zs are a wonderful generation. They are our small sisters, our kid brothers, who really need a lot of mentorship. So as a CEO, you have to become a mentor, you have to become a coach, and sometimes they are looking for you as their therapist.
Absolutely amazing. That's all we had for you. I'm telling you, this is amazing conversation. I have been so intrigued by this business of the Gen Zs. I hosted some here a while ago on our Monday morning digest, and you really confirmed a lot of things. This is an amazing generation, very, very engaging. If you actually can leverage their skills and their passion, they are passionate, they are emotionally engaging, and of course you must also manage them properly. The old rules don't apply, new rules apply. So that's all we had for you. We got to bring this to a close. Thank you so much for staying tuned in and listening in, and I hope you've learned a lot and that you're going to put these ideas into practice. Even some of you who are managers, obviously you need to actually practice some of these things. So that's all we had for you. God bless you so much. We'll see you another day, same time, same channel. Keep it elevated, and God bless you, and bye for now.